Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CNTV Interview Session, a program where we invite innovators, stakeholders, and influencers in the blockchain, crypto, and fintech ecosystem to come air their view and state of the ecosystem and also matters arising. So today we'll be talking about importance of cryptography. So let's see how important cryptography is. I have with me an expert in this area, Anish Mohammed, who is the co-founder, Panther Protocol. Anish, you're welcome to CNTV.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to invite me.
No, it's our pleasure to have you. So how is the UK?
UK is doing the normal. We have always the rubbish weather. You'll see sun for 5 minutes and rain for the rest of the day.
Yeah, we are so happy that the weather is okay and also it's normal over here in Lagos where we are. So after a short break, we'll return to our dive into the interview proper. So welcome back to the interview session. So I would like to get a brief about you, Anish. A brief about you and your background.
Okay, so my name is Anish. I am the co-founder and CTO for Panther Protocol. I've been in cryptography for the last 20 years. I've worked in a bunch of research labs, including Microsoft Research. Over the last 20 years, I've worked as a cryptography researcher, for a bit as a strategy consultant, and a small amount of time in retail banking. And since 2017, I've been mostly working full-time in blockchain. So blockchain-wise, I was a very early advisor to Ripple from, say, around 17th October 2013. I became an advisor to Ripple. And I am one of the original reviewers of the orange paper. So I don't know if you can see this. That's the Swarm, yeah. So you can find my name at the front of the Swarm orange paper, and I've been part of the Swarm team. I used to be more active till 2018. And then I've been involved in design of a couple of other protocols, as in like layer 1 protocols. And then I did probably a dozen distributed apps. Probably the well-known ones include, Ocean, Boson, and a bunch of things like that. And I have a lot of interest in privacy, and that led me to founding Panther Protocol.
Yeah, interesting and wonderful background that you have there and the experience you have in cryptography. And we believe as we go on in this interview, we'll be able to throw more light on this. Talking about cryptography, we see what blockchain is doing. So we really want to know, definition of blockchain and all the rest of them. How would you define cryptography, and how can it be deployed? Is it the same thing as blockchain?
Okay, so cryptos in Greek means kind of hidden, and cryptography essentially means the science of actually communicating in the presence of adversaries. Typically speaking, what that means is, like, if you are in a situation you want to communicate with somebody else and other people are listening into it, you don't want anybody else that's listening into it be able to understand what you're talking about. That's literally what cryptography is all about. So cryptography, you can think of cryptography as being the foundational basis of blockchain, right? So when you build buildings, you actually drive some piles into the ground. So the foundation would sit very firmly on top, right? So the foundations that are being driven to the ground, literally that translates to cryptography in that sense. And all the rest of the stuff, the cryptoeconomic system that sits on top, is kind of sat on the basis of cryptography. So blockchain essentially is kind of a byproduct of, trying to solve offline double spend problem. If I have a wallet and I have some money and I give it to somebody else, my wallet no longer has the money. So if I take my wallet, I take $1 out, and if I give it to you, then your wallet has $1, my wallet has $1 less dollar. And in the digital world, if you do that, I could make as many copies as I want. And that's digital counterfeiting, right? We need to prevent this. And this was prevented by Satoshi by proposing a data structure called blockchain. So that is a blockchain. And blockchain uses cryptographic primitives. Blockchain uses hash functions. So, hashes are like, if you are in Europe, you normally have mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes means the person who actually made mashed potatoes had access to potato at some point in time. It's a proof that the person had access to raw potato at some point in time because they boiled it and they mashed it. So you can't convert it backwards. It's a one-way function. You can't convert the mashed potato into a normal potato. So this is pretty much what it is. That's a hash function. You make a bunch of trees, and those trees actually create a blockchain. End of story.
That's a very nice way to illustrate and to define what cryptography is so that anyone could be able to understand it. That's a very nice one. Also, what would you say about zero knowledge proof? I was still talking about cryptography.
Oh, okay.
What would you say zero knowledge proof is?
Zero knowledge proof is an interesting concept. So typically speaking, if I want to prove to you something, there's only one way I can prove it. I have to reveal to you what I claim, what I have, right? If I say to you that I know cryptography, there is no way in hell that you're going to believe me unless I prove to you I know that, right? Zero knowledge proof is just something that allows me to prove to you that I know cryptography without revealing to you anything about cryptography, right? So let's assume this. My room, which is here, has one door, right? And I say to you, Lee, I have this ability to actually get out of this room without using the door, right? So now in a zero knowledge sense, I am the prover, you are the verifier, as in like you verify my claim, right? So we both stand outside the room at the door, and you let me into the room, and you close the door behind me, right? So you close the door, and I'm inside, and a couple of minutes later, you see me outside. I didn't come through the door. So now you know that I have the ability to escape from the room, right? But what you don't know is how I escaped. That is zero knowledge proof.
Another brief and very direct and explanatory definition of that. So I see you are co-founder of Panther Protocol. Panther Protocol is about DeFi and privacy. What would you say about DeFi and privacy, and how are you implementing that with Panther Protocol?
Okay, so let me give you a bit of a context, right? So imagine you are a somewhat larger user of DeFi, which essentially means you spend some large amounts of money and earn your living using DeFi. Essentially, you build your strategies and you deploy it. Now, I figured out by watching, on the blockchain, everybody's transaction is visible. So you can go to Etherscan and other places and see whose wallet has what and what is happening, right? And now I recognize your wallet address, okay? And you are somebody who consistently builds very good strategies, right? And I go to the graph and deploy a subgraph onto your smart contract, right? And I create a smart contract that will copy your trade. So essentially what happens is like whenever you trade, your trade is copied by me. So essentially the depth of the market is decreasing. Even though you do the hard work, I get the gains, right? Even worse, I could be even more devious. I could do a sandwich attack. I can front run one transaction and put a transaction behind you, like what happened with Vitalik, right? So things like that. That is a front running, not a sandwich attack. So sandwich would be you have one in the front and one in the back. Okay, that's that. And now there's a question, given all this, what happens to people, right? So generally speaking, if you have data of people that's publicly visible, that get mined by the Googles of the world, the Amazons of the world. The normal example is like, imagine you are in the UK, you're from Nigeria, on the Google, you actually go, search for, flight to Lagos, right? And next time you open Gmail, you have cheap flights to Nigeria. That'll be the top thing, right? So this is what is happening. So, can you imagine all your financial data being mined by Google and other people? That will create a lemon market. That will be completely, not compatible with democracy in any sense. Democracy implies you have the ability to privately express your opinion as a vote, right? As long as that's lost, that's governance structure is kind of lost, right? So what we are trying to do in Panther is to try to do something in the middle. We believe that the regulatory regimes around the world are going to get stricter and stricter. So we need to have the ability to provide KYC. I mean, if somebody wants to get KYC, they should be able to do that. And if they want to reveal their transactions to the tax authorities, they should be able to do that. We call it, the first part is a normal KYC, and the second bit we call it the selective reveal, right? Selective disclosure. So it's like you can actually reveal whatever you want. So the thing that happens in here is like when you get into Panther and you do transactions on DeFi, your transactions are private. Nobody has any information on what your transaction is. you are protected against your front running, you're protected against your alpha is protected, and you are not sandwiched, right? But at the same time, you can have a KYC, and if you so decide to actually, reveal to your tax authority that you made your money properly, you can do that as well. So that's what Panther does for you.
Okay, interesting. That's a very innovative platform, I must say. Okay, finally, before we draw the curtain on today's episode of CNE TV, let's go for a short break. I will be back. When we come back, I would like to get your opinion on the future of blockchain. Welcome back. I would like to get your opinion, Anish. Let me get your opinion on the future of blockchain. How do you see the future of blockchain?
I think, humanity has evolved over time, and we have found ways by which we do transactions. At the time when all of humanity were in Africa and we were just dispersing, probably we would have done barter. Essentially, imagine I had a bunch of goats and you had a bunch of cows, and we could do the transfer, right? Like you swap. So that you need to have coincidence of wants. Essentially, what that means is you need to have to sell a cow, and I need to have to sell the goats, and you both agree, and then we can do that. And then what happened is, like, as the societies become larger and larger, it became harder to do this kind of thing. So we had the store and forward mechanism, right? So what has reached at this point in time is like society has become so large. So the ability for centralized systems to actually do most of the things have become inefficient, largely inefficient. And we are at the place where, you find obviously a lot of things that are at very large scale don't really work properly. And the other thing that you should also notice is the transparency part of it, right? We were talking about privacy. Privacy actually, to a large degree provides transparency. At the same time, privacy comes with a cost, and that's what we were discussing, right? So if you want to actually have very fast, dynamic, very large systems where there is fairness and transparency, blockchain could be the solution, right? What are the key things that we need to understand about blockchains, especially if you were to think about the second generation blockchains? So I'm one of the people who actually have been involved in the first generation and second generation and third. Like third is DevIO, but they are somewhere in the process of publishing it. So, Ripple, I work for them. I consider them like a generation one because it doesn't have smart contracts. Ethereum is a generation two, which actually has smart contracts. The smart contract, when you have smart contracts, you have the ability to attach data to policy. So if I hand over the data, the policies that are attached to it, you don't have to trust anybody for that execution of this smart contracts, right? So this is the key thing. So if society were becoming decentralized, we are going to have things like IoT, where there are lots of small transactions that are happening. We also have blockchains that are efficient enough to support microtransactions. We could have a very fair, open, transparent, efficient ecosystem where governance is fair and transparent. Humanity could have better benefits of value that's being created. Because if value is created, typically the intermediaries take it away. Like if you have been looking at NFTs, part of the reason why NFTs has been such a big success is the fact that it's been able to remove the intermediaries and create transparency, and the creators have a bigger upside of creating whatever they're creating. So I believe that blockchain could actually provide a far better, fairer society.
Okay, thank you very much. This is CNE TV interview session, the first and leading 24/7 live broadcasting TV platform for blockchain, crypto, and fintech ecosystem. So you can, if you're viewing, you can join. You can download our TV app on Google and also on Apple Play stores, or you visit www.cnetv.io to download it directly to your device. So thank you very much. It has really been an amazing time out with Anish Mohammed, who is the co-founder of Panther Protocol. Thank you very much, Anish, for joining us today on CNTV interview.